Papercrafty friends. Today is October the 2nd as we lead up to the Thanksgiving weekend, and I'm here for your creative escape. We're going to play around with some glitter paper. Now, this is the inspiration for the card I'm doing tonight. It has no greeting on it, as you can see. I think I probably intended to use it in some way. And so I'm going to show you how we can sort of recreate the feel of this card with current products. So my name is Diane. I'm the Creative Inkster, and I'm an Independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Guelph, Ontario, Canada. And I'm happy that you're here with me tonight. Please let me know in the comments if you're watching live, and if you're tuning in on the replay, drop me a quick note. And I'd love to know who's been along to enjoy these videos with me. So this card, the glitter paper that's on here, was a product that came out during Celebration 3 years ago maybe, and it was actually a goldish color, and I added some Stampin' Blends to it to make it look very fall-ish. So here's the card that I recreated with current product for fall, and you'll see this one here I used the Cajun Craze, and this one here I used copper clay to add the color. So tonight we're going to try it in more Christmassy colors. Hi Vicki. And so here's the paper. It's called More Dazzle, and it's 6x6. You get champagne and gold sheets in it. You get 4 of each. So that's the champagne, and that's the one I used to make this. And then here's the gold, which is quite bright and gold colored. But the champagne, I think, is a great one for coloring up. And so really, when you look at it, it's very similar to what we had back in the day, and so very easy to recreate. And I had this package of this More Dazzle glitter paper, and I had not used it yet at all. Alrighty, so we are going to make, though, a Christmas version. And very similar layout to this, but of course without pumpkins. So I'm going to set that over here so I can see it as a reference. This is the paper, the 12x12 that I'm cutting from, and it is a pack of paper in the September to December mini catalog. On page, it's right here at the beginning, here it is, page 4. This paper has a number of images that the dies in this set in this catalog will cut out, like the Christmas tree, and for punching, like the polar bear, which you could actually make as another type of bear. And so I just wanted to draw your attention to that, and this is our Making a Difference product. So when this paper, which is $17 here in Canada, for each pack that's sold, they will donate $4 to support organizations dedicated to spreading cheer and providing support to those in need. So if you're looking for something in a way to give back, that is a great pack of paper to choose. And let me give you the name of it. It is A Walk in the Forest, 12 sheets of 12x12 double-sided with designs, and this is one of the designs. That's the other side of it. So I've already cut my paper for this. I've cut this pattern here because I cut it in such a way that I would get one of the bears on it. So it's 5 1/4 by 4. And here is my More Dazzle paper strip. It measures 1 1/2 by 5 1/4. So it's going to go on there. And then we need a few other things. We need some white. Interesting. Must have touched that to the ink pad. And card base. So my card base is going to be Pretty Peacock, which is one of the colors in this pretty paper that you can see here. I'm going to make this card a tent card, or top easel folding. So I'm going to cut it in half at 4 1/4 and score it at 5 1/2. So it'll be different than this one. Won't open this way, it's going to open up like that. Just to play around and have something different. And then I'm going to cut a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 of white so that I have something on the inside of my card. And then the only other thing I kind of need is a strip here to put my greeting on. So I'm going to trim that while we have the paper out. So I've grabbed my greeting already. I'm going to use this Merry Christmas one from Berry Cute. I'll show you that stamp set in a minute. But to figure out how big of a strip of paper that I need, I've actually got a smaller cutoff here. I kind of measure it along my paper trimmer, and I can see that it's about 3/4 of an inch will get the tallest point, and 3 inches. So let's take this, cut it at 3, and then cut it at 3/4 of an inch. Ooh, it's got a wonky side there. I didn't notice that one edge is not straight. There we go. So we'll cut this bit off. And that should be big enough for our greeting. If we have to redo it, that's a-okay. All right, so we have a card base. We have everything else cut. We are good to start. So let's do the technique first. There's our glitter paper, and I want to grab some scratch paper. I have some here. Okay, and I'm going to use my Stampin' Blend. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Trina. Thanks for popping in. So I'm using my Pretty Peacock Dark Stampin' Blend. It would work with dark or light. I just grabbed the dark so that it was a nice deep color. And we have 2 ends on the Stampin' Blends. You'll see on here one's a bullet end, that's the thinner end, and then the brush end, or the wider white strip, is the wider end. And I would caution you with this technique to just be careful as you're going. I wouldn't do it this way. I wouldn't be pressing hard. I'm just lightly pressing and going across it like this. And you know, the darker or more pressure or more passes you place in some areas will make it darker in some areas and lighter in other areas. But this is kind of the technique. And then I'm turning my Stampin' Blend angle a little bit so I'm not placing it down on this rather sharp glitter paper edge all on the same side. So when you look at the brush, it kind of has several sides. So, I mean, you got to decide if you're comfortable with this. You could try a Sharpie if you didn't have Stampin' Blends, because that's a permanent ink, and so that would work too. I'm just going to grab something I can hold it down with so that I don't end up, if it's still a little wet, don't end up with green all over my fingers. That's the goal when you're inking, but a lot of times you get ink all over your fingers. So I'm just going to go back and forth across here to add the color. I don't think it would matter if you went up and down. I guess I just went side to side. So let's pick it up. First of all, we'll see if it's still wet by flipping it over and pressing it down on my scratch paper. And there's a little bit at the bottom. But I would say that it's come through fairly evenly in color. I tried it with a few other colors first. I think it would be safe to say that darker would work a little bit better. This one here was with copper clay. But I think, as I did with the original one, Cajun Craze would be really nice too. But I like this here. And I'd say that it's a fairly good match to this paper here. All right, so here's our Pretty Peacock cardstock. 4 1/4 by 11, searching for the bone folder. There it is. And we're just going to burnish the edge there. And then we've cut our 4 by 5 1/4. That's going to go on the inside of the card. What do you think? Do you think you could comfortably add some color to some glitter paper and dress it up any way you like? I'm curious to see what it would be if I used the gold. I have a plan for the gold. To use it as gold, and but I kind of wonder if the champagne lends itself very well to different colors because it's more of a white or a base background. And then we have our cardstock for the front, which is 4 by 5 1/4. Now, if like me you find that you get little hairs left on the edges when you're cutting with your Stampin' trimmer, what that means is your blade probably needs to be changed. Some papers are a little bit more susceptible to that than others, so I just kind of go by with my scissors and give it a little wee trim. Usually pretty easy. Gets the little bits off. You might not even notice them. All right, so I'm going to put this down here. And then this is also 5 1/4, so it's going to go down the whole length. But you could cut it. You could put some on the inside, some on the outside. That'd be really pretty too. Let's glue this guy in place. And then I'll show you a couple of tricks with the Berry Cute. Tips, not tricks, tips. I heard someone say that on a video. Well, they're not tricks. I'm not doing anything tricky here. But I think we all know what we mean. All right. So then this glitter paper, it just has plain white. Hi, Val. Thanks for popping in. Plain white on the back. It's not self-adhesive, but it lends itself well to being able to add liquid glue or Stampin' Seal, whatever your favorite adhesive is. And I'm just going to pop this down here. So this is 1.5 inches wide, I think, going from memory. Yes. I might have made it a little bit smaller so I didn't cover so much of my pretty paper up, but that's okay. There we go. What a nice, bright, shiny spot that is. All right, so I did a couple things with the Berry Cute polar bear. So this stamp set is a bundle that comes with the punch, matching punch, and of course you can see the punch will punch out this one shape. You can hand cut these out easily enough. And as I mentioned way at the top of the video, this punch works on some of the papers in here. Let's see, is it this pattern? Yes, it would do this one here. So you see this one, 1, 2, 3 and a smidgen part. So you could use it to punch those out. I think it may punch other shapes of that, other polar bear shapes from the same paper pack. All right, so we're using the Merry Christmas from here. So let's get that stamped. And it's photopolymer, so I want to have my little Stampin' Pierce mat underneath. Why? Because with photopolymer, there isn't a red rubber to help the stamp get a cushion as it's going down. So this adds that cushion for you. And love photopolymer because I can see exactly where it's going to stamp. And I'm going to do this, I was going to do it in Peacock, but now that I see, yeah, no, I'm still going to do it in Peacock, no, Pecan Pie, which is the other color in that paper. Alrighty. Didn't like Pretty Peacock specifically when it was an in color, but man, now that it's in the line in a regular basis in the Regals, I love it. It is such a beautiful color against all the other colors in its color family. So there's our Merry Christmas. 3/4 of an inch by 3 inches. Now here are the two bears that I played with in coloring to try to make it look less like a polar bear and more like a grizzly or a brown bear. Hi Wendy, thanks for popping in. So in this one, I stamped it with Pecan Pie on white, and then with my blending brush, I just added just a little bit of color over top. And on this one, I punched it on Pecan Pie cardstock in Pretty Peacock, excuse me, and then added the color on. I wasn't sure which one I was going to go with, but I think I like this one. There's something about a green outline bear that doesn't quite sit with me on this card. So that's the one I'm going to go with. So let me show you how I did it. Excuse me. Is that going to be big enough? Oh yeah. All right, let's get our bear, and we're going to stamp him in Pecan Pie onto white or vanilla. Vanilla would work too, but there is tones of white in this paper, so it kind of made sense. Oh, just put my thumb in it. We are not ink free today. There we go. Let's try this again. Oh, I forgot your little paw. Let's do it again. Stamping Adventures. There we go. Now we're doing it the way we should. Okay, so I'm going to tuck this ink pad over here so I can reach it. And I need my scratch paper again, my messy paper. Okay, so now I'm going to, I don't need the pad because I'm done stamping. Now I'm going to take my blending brush. Now I tried this with a Stampin' sponge dauber. However, I think my sponge dauber wasn't new enough and it had little pieces that came off. So I thought, well, I'm going to try and see if I get a smoother finish with the blending brush. So I'm going to ink it up, but look at this. Look at how dark that can be when it comes off. So it kind of depends how much color you've got, ink you've got in your ink pad. So I'm going to tap, 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 but I want to get that more caramelly colored in there. And when I punch it, it's going to punch very close to the edge of the image. So I don't need to worry about getting within the lines. It's totally fine. So this is kind of a step up from using the cardstock in Pecan Pie and where it's so much darker, right? But you're getting this color here. So add a little bit more color, make this one a little bit darker. In fact, I might put both of them on there. Okay, so that's how I added the color. And what I do with my blending brushes is I don't have one for every color. So I keep this one for yellows and browns and, you know, crumb cake, that kind of color. So I will go ahead and use this on my scratch paper to get as much out. They do stay stained unless you wash them, but I've heard washing them isn't a good thing long term for them, so I'm not going to do that. I'll just wipe it off. And then I can put it away, and then I know I'm kind of in a close color family when I'm ready to use it the next time. So there we go, line that up, and there is our bear. It's kind of cute, and he's a little bit darker, it's like a little bit darker, dirtier kind of look to him. And then the Merry Christmas, I don't know, I think maybe one, I don't know. I thought it'd be a little bit closer to this color than it's turned out. I'm going to hide him, but that's okay. Anyway, that's basically what I'm going with here. So we're going to pop these guys up because we can, and because that's just the way to go. So I'm using up the leftover dimensionals over here from a pack. Oop. There we go. Use them up, I say, do not waste them. They have weird shapes, but nobody's looking behind. Nobody knows what's behind the curtain. You're good. Take those off. And that was the darker one, so I'm going to put him a little towards the back. Coming through the forest. And then this guy. And then my greeting. And that really makes a pretty quick card, but I love how we can color our glimmer paper. So it makes your products go a little bit further. There, that's good. And this does adhere fairly nicely to the glimmer paper, even when it has some ink on it. Sometimes I find if you've got paper that has ink on it, sometimes the dimensionals don't want to stick quite as well. And I will add some gems. Let's see. Those are not the ones I wanted to go with. What have I got here? Use these. No, it's garden green. That's the green in that. Ooh. Nope, that would have been good for copper. I don't know. I haven't figured out what I'm going to put here yet. Open to suggestions. Anybody got any ideas out there? Then again, why don't we just make them to match? We've got our trusty pretty peacock out here anyway. So these are the iridescent pearls, and we're just going to put 2. I only have a couple left. Time to order more. It's time. There we go. I like the iridescent pearls, but sometimes some of them have a little bit different. It's a different, catches the light a little bit differently, and so they may have a little bit different look to them. So always have to be careful with animals when I'm putting gems on, because sometimes it just looks like animal poop, and I don't want to go there. So we're just going to put these guys here. Just want to make sure placement is good. Very good. All right. Thanks for hanging in there with me while I played with some coloring with my Stampin' Blends and this really neat Dazzle paper. I've forgotten how much it is. It's in the annual catalog. Let me find that for you. Do you have it at home? Maybe you already have it at home. And like me, you haven't used it yet, which is criminal because we need to be using it. Let's see. It's back here on the paper page. On page 127, the specialty paper, number 6, more Dazzle, 6x6, $10.25 for the 8 sheets. I think it'll go a long way. Radio, there's my 2 cards. Thanks for popping by. Thanks, Trina. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye for now.